A major blow in the 18-year-long Madeleine McCann cold case, with the prime suspect unlikely to be charged for the foreseeable future. German prosecutors have made the admission just months before Christian Bruckner is set to be released from prison.
Recently, disturbing new information has brought David Payne's name back into the spotlight in the Madeleine McCann case. Although he helped the McCanns in the search for their daughter, Madeleine McCann, that night and cooperated with the police investigation, a shocking new discovery has connected him to that tragic night, suggesting Payne knew more than he admitted. Could it be that the missing piece of this puzzle has been hiding in plain sight all along, waiting to be solved? Join us, as what we're about to uncover may change everything we thought we knew about this case. The shocking new information. Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains one of the most haunting and perplexing missing persons cases in the world.
We have breaking news in one of the world's most infamous missing persons mysteries.
A German prisoner has been identified as a new suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann from a holiday resort in Portugal 13 years ago.
The story of a 3-year-old girl vanishing from her family's holiday apartment in Praia da Luz, Portugal, has been analyzed, debated, and scrutinized for more than a decade. Despite countless investigations, numerous suspects, and global media coverage, the truth of what really happened to Madeleine has remained unsolved. At the center of this mystery is a group of 7 adults who dined together on that fateful evening while their children slept nearby. This group, known as the Tapos 7, included Jerry McCann and Kate McCann, who are Madeleine's parents and their close friends. Among those friends was Dr. David Payne, a man whose role in this case has largely been overlooked until now. Recent discoveries have cast a new light on Payne, drawing attention to details that were previously dismissed and ignored. Continue watching to learn more about this new discovery. David Payne, a close friend of the McCanns, was among the group of friends collectively referred to as the Tapos 7, who accompanied the family on the holiday. As a member of this group, Payne's actions and statements have been scrutinized by both government officials and the public. His involvement in the events that led to and followed Madeleine's disappearance has been documented through various interviews and witness statements.
Madeleine, a very striking, beautiful child. I'd almost, if I want to better phrase, call her doll-like, very unique-looking child. She'd got very pretty.
David Payne was not just an ordinary friend of the McCanns. He has been a longtime friend of Jerry McCann. Payne, a respected doctor in the UK, was seen as a reliable and family-oriented man. But as investigators began peeling back the layers of the case and his statements, his role came under closer examination due to inconsistencies in his timeline and unsettling reports made by Dr. Catherine Gaspar. Dr. David Payne, like the others, was thrust into the whirlwind of police questioning, media scrutiny, and public suspicion. According to Payne, the evening started like any other. The group's routine involved putting their children to bed and going nearby to the tapas restaurant to dine together. However, they were checking on the children periodically throughout the dining time. David Payne stated that at around 6:30 p.m., he paid a brief visit to the McCanns' apartment to see Kate and the children. He claimed he wanted to check in on Kate, as she had stayed behind while Jerry played tennis. In his statement to the police, Payne described this visit as brief, lasting no more than 30 seconds to a minute. He recalled seeing Madeleine sitting in her pajamas, looking calm and content. It seemed like an innocent, unremarkable moment, one of many small, friendly gestures between the families during their holiday. Yet, as the investigation unfolded, Payne's timeline began to unravel. Jerry McCann recalled his own evening quite differently. He insisted that he returned from his tennis match around 6:30 p.m., the same time Payne claimed to have visited the apartment. But he found only Kate and the children in the apartment. So, according to both story timelines, If Jerry was already back by then, Payne's version of the event's timeline didn't add up. More confusion emerged when Kate herself acknowledged Payne's visit, but gave an uncertain and less concrete account of how long he stayed or what they both said.
Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, said she was initially snatched from her bed while they were having dinner at the resort where they were staying. At first, suspicion fell on the mom and dad, but they were later cleared.
The contradictions seemed minor at first, perhaps just a simple memory lapse. However, when stacked alongside other inconsistencies from that night, it started to cast a longer, darker shadow over David Payne's role in the case. Adding to the complexity of the case was the sheer level of detail Payne provided about his fleeting visit. For a moment, he described the visit as lasting barely half a minute. Still, Payne was remarkably vivid in his recollection of Madeleine's mood, appearance, and even how she interacted with her siblings. This stood in contrast to other members of the group who gave less specific accounts of the evening's events. For investigators, it begged the question, was Payne's detailed memory a sign of honesty or an indication that he had rehearsed his account? However, as the hours leading up to Madeleine's disappearance were pieced together, Payne's timeline remained a stubborn anomaly. It was like a loose thread in the tightly woven fabric of the group's collective statements, one that refused to be neatly tucked away. But this was only the beginning. Payne's name would surface again in an even more unsettling context, according to a witness statement that cast his behavior in an entirely new light. Among the most haunting statements surrounding the case is the statement given by Dr. Arul Savio Gaspar's wife, Dr. Catherine Gaspar, a fellow holiday companion and friend of the McCanns and Paynes. Although they weren't involved in the Portugal family holiday, in Catherine Gaspar's testimony to the Leicestershire police, she described an unsettling conversation she overheard between David Payne and Jerry McCann during a previous vacation. Her words, given weight by her professional background as a doctor and her measured tone, introduced a dark undercurrent to an already complex case. Catherine Gaspar recounted that during the holiday in Mallorca in 2005, 2 years before Madeleine's disappearance, she and her husband, Dr. Arul Gaspar, witnessed an inappropriate exchange between Payne and Jerry. She described Payne making comments, allegedly of a nature, about Madeleine and other young girls. According to her statement, Payne gestured with his hands to mimic a suggestive action, which disturbed her enough to discuss it with her husband afterward. According to her, she said, "I was sitting between Dave and Jerry, whom I believe were both talking about Madeleine. I don't remember the conversation in its entirety, but it seemed they were discussing a possible scenario. I remember Dave telling Jerry something like she, referring to Madeleine, would do this. When he mentioned this, she claimed Dave was sucking on one of his fingers, pushing it in and out of his mouth, whilst with the other hand, he circled his nipple with a circulating movement over his clothes. This was done in a provocative manner, there being an explicit insinuation in relation to what he was saying and doing. What makes Gaspar's testimony particularly chilling is the context. She wasn't a distant friend or a stranger looking for attention. She was a trusted friend within the McCanns' close-knit social circle and a fellow medical professional. Her decision to come forward wasn't immediate. It took her some time after Madeleine's disappearance to approach the authorities. This delay, while often criticized, might point more toward her inner turmoil and fear of being wrong than any attempt to mislead. Her husband, Arul, supported the account in his own police statement. He expressed a similar discomfort with Payne's remarks, though he admitted to brushing it aside at the time, not wanting to believe the worst of a friend. Both Gaspar's testimonies were submitted to Leicestershire police, but whether Portuguese investigators pursued this lead fully remains a point of contention among critics of the case's handling.
Officers investigating the disappearance of a young British girl aged 3 in Portugal 16 years ago are to begin searching a remote Portuguese reservoir visited by the suspect Christian Bruckner.
The Gaspar statements raise difficult questions. If their accounts were accurate, why was Payne never treated as more than a witness? Some theorists argue that the Gaspar testimony serves as a disturbing but vital piece in the puzzle, one that points toward Payne's deeper involvement, or, at the very least, his knowledge of events that night. Others caution against relying too heavily on statements that could be misinterpreted or exaggerated with the weight of hindsight and tragedy. Regardless, the Gaspar allegations remain one of the most controversial and chilling aspects of the McCann case, a shadow that looms over David Payne's otherwise composed public image. The Portuguese and British authorities, however, took the Gaspar statements seriously, recognizing the disturbing nature of the allegations and their potential relevance to the investigation. But without concrete evidence to support or disprove the claims, their options remained limited. Law enforcement operates within strict legal boundaries, and while suspicions can guide an inquiry, they cannot serve as a basis for formal accusations or arrests without supporting proof. David Payne was questioned multiple times by both Portuguese police and, later, British authorities when they took a more active role in the case. Each time, he maintained a consistent version of events, sticking to his original account. Investigators looked for discrepancies that might suggest deception, but Payne's statements, despite contradictions with other witnesses, did not waver. This raised a critical challenge. Inconsistency among witness statements is not unusual in high-stress, emotionally charged situations like the disappearance of a child. People misremember details, timelines blur, and even honest accounts can conflict without any malicious intent. Despite the Gaspar statements hanging over him like a shadow, no physical evidence ever emerged to link Payne to Madeleine's disappearance. Authorities combed through apartment 5A, the McCanns' rental car, and Payne's own belongings. Forensic teams searched for DNA, fingerprints, or any material trace that might connect him or anyone in the group. None was found. The police also reviewed Payne's background, seeking any history of inappropriate behavior or prior allegations. Nothing surfaced. His professional and personal records showed no signs of misconduct, which further weakened the Gaspar allegations from a legal standpoint. Moreover, investigators had to weigh the credibility of the Gaspar statements against the context in which they were made. The Gaspars only came forward after Madeleine's disappearance, 2 years after the incident they described. This delay, while understandable given the shocking nature of the allegations, made it harder to validate the account. Memories degrade over time, and the lack of other witnesses to support the disturbing conversation between Payne and Jerry McCann left the statements standing alone. However, the McCanns themselves never wavered in their support of Payne. They insisted he was a trusted friend, someone they believed incapable of harming their daughter. Jerry McCann, in particular, publicly defended Payne, which complicated the police's ability to push further without risking accusations of victim blaming or alienating the McCanns, whose cooperation was vital. Payne's timeline inconsistencies, while suspicious, weren't enough to suggest criminal involvement. Without physical evidence, all that remained were doubts, speculation, and a haunting sense that an essential piece of the puzzle might still be missing. Payne, to this day, has never been officially named a suspect. He remains a figure of intrigue and controversy, a man whose statements continue to invite scrutiny, but whose legal record remains unblemished. Let's take a step back and recount what actually happened that tragic night. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Praia da Luz, a perfect seaside village in Portugal's Algarve region, was a calm holiday destination, popular among British families seeking a peaceful retreat. Among those families in late April 2007 were Jerry and Kate McCann. Both were doctors from the UK. Accompanied by their 3 children, Madeleine, their 3-year-old daughter, and twins Sean and Amelie. The family was joined by a group of close friends, later known as the Tapos 7, named after the resort's tapas bar, where they dined together each evening. The McCanns checked into the Ocean Club Resort, an apartment-style complex that catered to families, offering a kids club, pool, and babysitting services. The McCanns were assigned apartment 5A, a ground-floor unit with a small patio and a window facing the street, a location that would soon become the epicenter of one of the world's most infamous missing person cases. May 3, 2007 started like any other day for the McCanns. They spent the morning having breakfast before heading to the pool, with Madeleine joining the other children at the kids' club. The family enjoyed an afternoon at the beach, returning to the apartment later to get the children ready for bed. By around 7:30 p.m., Madeleine and the twins were asleep, allowing Kate and Jerry to prepare for dinner at the resort's tapas bar, just 50 meters away. The group of friends, aware that each couple had left their children sleeping in their respective apartments, developed a system. They would take turns leaving the table to check on the children every 20 to 30 minutes. At around 5 minutes after 9, Jerry checked on Madeleine and the twins, reporting that all was well. He later recalled feeling a sense of comfort seeing his daughter peacefully asleep, tucked under her blanket. However, when Kate went to check at 10 p.m., the night turned into a nightmare. She discovered Madeleine's bed empty, the window open, and the shutters raised. The McCanns' world shattered from that moment, and the search for Madeleine began.
Her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, have always hoped they would find their daughter alive, but German prosecutors who are leading this investigation are treating it as a murder inquiry.
The immediate response was frantic but chaotic. The McCanns, their friends and resort staff began scouring the area, calling out Madeleine's name. Local police, known as the GNR, were contacted, but language barriers and general confusion delayed their arrival. Officers eventually appeared around 10 minutes after 11, but by then the apartment had been compromised. Friends, staff, and guests had walked in and out, potentially destroying crucial evidence. The initial search lasted through the night. Volunteers, tourists, and locals joined the effort, but Madeleine was nowhere to be found. Kate and Jerry were left in anguish as the sun rose over Praia da Luz, with no trace of their daughter. The early stages of the investigation were marred by critical errors. Local police initially treated the situation as a routine missing child case, failing to secure the scene properly. Fingerprints weren't taken immediately, and border patrols, airports, and Interpol weren't alerted promptly. These early mistakes severely impacted the case's trajectory. As the hours turned into days, the McCanns faced the nightmare every parent dreads. The media soon descended upon the sleepy Portuguese village, and within days, the case became an international story. Kate and Jerry made emotional appeals to the public, pleading for their daughter's safe return. A photo of Madeleine showing her distinctive coloboma, a rare eye condition that gave her right iris a noticeable mark, became iconic. Public figures like David Beckham and J.K. Rowling supported the campaign, amplifying the message. Donations poured in, and the Find Madeleine fundraiser raised millions to aid the search. However, by August, the tide began to turn. Portuguese investigators, frustrated by the lack of progress, started considering an alternative theory that Madeleine had died in the apartment. This shift came after British sniffer dogs, trained to detect cadaver scent and blood, were alerted in the McCanns' rental car and apartment.
The assumption has always been that Madeleine McCann was snatched from the apartment she and her family were staying in Praia da Luz. Now, unconfirmed reports about the discovery of blood have given rise to speculation that she may have died in the apartment.
The findings led to intense scrutiny. In September, Kate and Jerry McCann were formally named arguidos, which in Portuguese meant official suspects. Portuguese police questioned them extensively, even suggesting that Kate's composed demeanor was unusual for a grieving mother. The McCanns adamantly denied any involvement in Madeleine's disappearance, maintaining that their focus was solely on finding their daughter. By July 2008, the case was shelved due to a lack of concrete evidence, and the McCann suspect status was lifted. The Portuguese police have formally apologized to the McCann family for their mishandling of the investigation into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. They acknowledge that errors were made in handling key evidence and the overall management of the case. The apology comes after years of criticism over the investigation's shortcomings and its impact on the McCann family's search for justice. Unwilling to give up, the McCanns hired private investigators. One agency, Metodo 3, claimed they were close to finding Madeleine, but no breakthroughs emerged. Over the years, sightings continued to trickle in, from a girl resembling Madeleine in Morocco to a report from India, but none led to Madeleine. The McCanns endured false confessions and public accusations, but they remained resolute. In 2011, Scotland Yard launched Operation Grange, a full review of the case, revisiting old leads and exploring new ones. The investigation identified several suspects, including Christian Bruckner, a German man with a criminal record who was in Praia da Luz at the time. German authorities stated they believed Bruckner abducted and killed Madeleine, but despite their strong suspicions, no formal charges have been filed. Theories about what happened to Madeleine continue to spark heated debate. Some believe a psycho disorder person or child trafficking ring took her. Others suggest a burglary gone wrong, with intruders panicking and taking Madeleine when she woke up. Today, more than 17 years later, the McCanns continue their search. Over £13 million has been spent on investigations, and Operation Grange remains active. Kate and Jerry hold on to hope that Madeleine is alive, perhaps living under a different identity, unaware of her true past. Madeleine would be 21 years old now, an adult whose face remains frozen in time as the bright, innocent 3-year-old with the unforgettable coloboma in her eye. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann remains one of the most haunting and unresolved mysteries in modern history, a tragic reminder of how a family's ordinary holiday can turn into an enduring nightmare. Let's look at who Dr. David Payne really is. Dr. David Payne. Dr. David Payne's early life remains relatively private, with limited publicly available information about his upbringing. However, according to the statements submitted to the police, it's clear he pursued a path shaped by academic dedication and a passion for medicine. He was born on the 14th of April in 1956 and raised in the United Kingdom. Payne grew up in a supportive family environment that valued education and personal growth. From an early age, he showed an aptitude for science, particularly biology and human physiology. This interest blossomed into a career ambition to work in the medical field. His strong academic performance earned him a place at a respected medical school, setting the stage for his journey into healthcare. Payne studied medicine at Leicester University, where he quickly distinguished himself among his peers. He excelled in both theoretical knowledge and practical application, earning praise from professors and clinical mentors alike. His strong performance in anatomy, pathology, and patient care set him apart as a promising young doctor in training. During his clinical rotations, Payne developed a particular interest in cardiology. He found the complex interplay between the heart, vascular system, and overall health fascinating, a specialization that requires both technical precision and compassionate patient care. This focus led him to pursue a further specialization, diving into advanced cardiology studies and gaining hands-on experience in hospitals. His early career involved rigorous internships and residencies, where he worked under experienced cardiologists. He spent countless hours honing his diagnostic skills and learning to manage high-stakes medical situations. His ability to remain calm under pressure earned him the respect of senior doctors, who recognized his potential to become a leader in the field. By the time he completed his medical training, Payne had built a strong reputation as a diligent, knowledgeable, and empathetic practitioner, qualities that laid the foundation for his professional career. Dr. Payne embarked on his medical career with determination, securing a role at a well-regarded hospital. He specialized in cardiology, working primarily with patients suffering from heart disease and related conditions. His focus was not only on treatment, but also on preventive care, educating patients on how to manage risk factors and improve their heart health through lifestyle changes. His peers noted his ability to communicate complex medical concepts in an accessible way, helping patients feel empowered rather than overwhelmed. Payne also participated in multidisciplinary teams, collaborating with surgeons, nurses, and other specialists to ensure holistic care for his patients. Throughout his career, Payne was known for his tireless work ethic. He often stayed late to monitor critical cases and ensure his patients received the best possible care. Colleagues admired his balance of technical expertise and human connection, a combination that's essential in cardiology, where patients often face life-altering diagnoses. Beyond the hospital, Payne contributed to medical research initiatives focused on heart disease prevention. He attended conferences, published articles in medical journals, and mentored younger doctors entering the field. His passion for learning never waned, and he continued updating his knowledge with emerging advancements in cardiology. Payne's career reflected a profound dedication to both the science of medicine and the well-being of his patients. He wasn't just a doctor, he was an advocate for better health care and a role model for those around him. Dr. David Payne maintained a fulfilling personal life. He was married to Fiona Payne, a fellow doctor, which strengthened their shared commitment to medicine. They got married in Italy. The couple balanced their demanding careers with nurturing home life and raising children together while supporting each other's professional endeavors. In his free time, Payne enjoyed outdoor activities, particularly hiking and running. He believed that physical fitness was vital not only for health but also for mental clarity, a principle he encouraged his patients to embrace. What do you think about the allegation by the Gaspers towards Payne? Should Payne be classified as a suspect in the case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to click on the next video on your screen. You will enjoy it.